So if you're a manager or leader in an organization and you're wondering what's the best way to use this resource, there's several ways I can think of. One is you just sit down and watch it yourself. There's going to be something, I think, of value for you personally if you do this. I think you can multiply the impact and the value by sitting down and watching it with your team. Like if you have a team or a group of people that you work with, and then afterwards sit down and then talk about, what did it mean to you? If you really want to go for it, if you have an organization or a department, it might not be a bad idea to let everybody in your organization watch this and then have some small groups and conversations where they come up with what it means and what are the action implications. What are we going to do differently now after having seen this? Okay, what an amazing opportunity, challenge, thing that we're going to be doing here for an hour or so. The theme is about the giants of OD. What were they up to? What were they about? How did they think about things that might still be relevant for us in this brand new multicultural world? So before we get started, I'm going to answer the question that about half of everyone that's spoken to me has asked, and I've put off the answer. I'm going to answer it right now. Okay, you've all said, John, what in the world are you doing in Poland? So let me quickly run that tape so you'll know we can put that aside and get on with other more important things. 10 years ago, I was giving a talk at the World Business Academy in California. My last book was called Work and the Human Spirit. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from a woman. She said, my name is Dorota Stoy-Zawadzka. I can now pronounce the name. And I have a training company in Krakow, Poland. I was in the audience for your talk, and I saw the impact it had. We're doing a conference for 300 executives from Orlen Petroleum. It's a major oil company in Central and Eastern Europe. And I'd like you to come and give this talk. Would you do it? And I thought, a chance to go to a former communist country, which I'd never been to before. You can't count Guantanamo. It's really not. It's a Navy base where I was. Go to a former communist country, talk to a bunch of oil executives about work and the human spirit. I thought, geez, I'll do that for free. That was kind of a joke. Anyway, I came over and I gave the talk, and the impact was so powerful that she said, I want to come and take your 3.5-day leadership intensive. So she and a colleague came to Seattle, where I have a condo, an office. And at the end of that course, she said, Yannick, nobody's doing leadership development like this anywhere in Central Eastern Europe that I know of. If I call you, will you come and do this for some of our clients? I said, sure. A month later, Siemens Corporation is having a high potential thing, so I came over and did it for a bunch of their engineers. First 2 days, like this. Yeah, plus their engineers. It's a perfect storm for not being into this, right? And one of them told my colleague, this is a bunch of California hot tub bullshit, So I thought, okay, we're starting from way back. So at the end of this thing, they were totally into it. So she called me 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, AOL's team, DHL's team, all these companies for a year going back and forth from Seattle to Krakow and Warsaw. And after that, she said, Yannick, why don't you just move to Poland? And I thought, well, okay, I'm 68 or however old I was, but what the heck, I'll go for 6 months. And that was in August of 2008. So you know what happened 2 months later. The entire economy in America just completely dropped off the table. Nobody was hiring guys like me in America. I mean, I had friends that were bankrupt, devastated, couldn't sell their homes. I'm really, really bad shape. Meanwhile, I'm over here running like a mad dog in a meat house. I'm like working harder than I've worked in my entire life since the U.S. Navy. And I said, well, I'll stay for another 6 months until things turn around in America. Well, I'll stay another 6 months until things turn. Well, I'll stay another 6 months. Next thing you know, it's 2 years. And then we were invited to participate in this huge merger. It was a five-way merger in the telephone industry, one of the most complex in recent Polish business history. They hired BCG. They hired me and my firm first. See, the reason M&A has failed is because all the effort goes in the A and nothing goes in the M. It's all about the acquisition and nothing about the merger. So we had been doing, the CEO of the buying company had put all of his management board and his top N-1s, N-2s through this 3.5-day leadership course for the last 2 years. So he knew what we were capable of. He knew about the stuff that we were talking. He knew about OD. And so when this merger came, he knew it was really going to be a mess. And he called us first. Then they put the RFP out for the other consulting firms, BCG, McKinsey, and so forth. And one of the criteria was, are you willing to collaborate with these guys and share leadership? And they said, who? You know, who are these guys? And he said, they're here to make sure we end up in the 25% that succeed and not the 75% that you guys usually leave behind. So now I literally can't leave. I had my 75th birthday in Krakow 2 years ago. I moved to Warsaw about a year ago. And at my birthday party in Krakow, about 40 people showed up, including the CEO of this company. And they sat me in the middle of the room and they said, Yannick, how long are you going to stay in Poland? And I said, as long as I'm needed. We'll come back to that. And then they said, why have you stayed this long? And I looked around the room and I started to cry. And I said, I think it's because of you all. I look around the room, I said, I see friends, I see colleagues, I see clients, I see, I said, you're my tribe. My tribe is here now. I feel kind of like a rock band whose fan base has shifted, Like if I went back to America, they would say, John Scherer, is he still alive, Is that band still playing? You got to be kidding me, So I'm just going to, and my entire career, I wish I could say I had a plan, like some sort of a strategy, but I've gone where I was needed. I feel like St. Paul, Will you come to Macedonia and help us? I'm sure he said, could I have another opinion about that? Because at that time, Macedonia was out in the middle of nowhere. So I just go, I've always gone where I was invited to go. So let's go. You ready for this? Is that okay? Does that answer the question about why Poland? Okay. So Warsaw is now a base like Krakow was, but I'm not there much. All right, here we go. In twos, okay? What would you say to a group of people at the beginning of some kind of a program? Let's say you're going to do an introduction to OD in another culture, Asia, Central America, Africa, somewhere like that. What would you say at the beginning, right at the beginning, in order to create a true context to what you were about to talk to them about that might also be true to the beginning, right? Because OD was invented by a bunch of white guys, middle-aged white guys in the UK and North America in the 1950s. Come on. And you're going to talk about that to a bunch of people from Asia or Africa. What would you say to a group of people just to kind of create the 2 minutes, really fast? Two, ready, go.